Tonight on the Chillstream, the Kiwis finally confess. I show you how old school street hustles become 21st century digital hustles. And what else? And yeah, we got a drone show. We got that and so much more. So much more coming back in 2 minutes. All right, we are back. Entered the studio 3 minutes, 4 minutes before the show, saw that Judas Flychai already had left a like and a comment. So thank you for that, sir. I put a little star alongside. I don't know what that does, but they said I could get a star the comment. So I've starred your comment, Mr. Flychai. It is Monday, February 19th, 2024. And plenty of stuff is happening. Got stuff happening in my real life, stuff happening on the internet, stuff all over the place. And it's just, things get absurd and you just roll with them. Last week was actually was an okay week, although Thursday they called me. There was an emergency. A driver broke down at the Holland Tunnel in Manhattan. And he had a medical piece going down to Fredericksburg, Virginia. So it's for this pharmaceutical company. Could I rush out there and get it? And I happen to be already at the Newark airport because I'm just bored and I don't want to sit home anymore. So it would have worked a lot better. But by the time I got near the Holland Tunnel, and I called this guy, they had towed him through the tunnel. They didn't tow him into downtown Manhattan like we thought he was. They tow you through the tunnel and they just dump you in Jersey. But for me, it was too late to turn around, so I had to go through the tunnel and then come back, which sucked. But this black kid named Devlin, his axle broke on his van, and it was an older van. And I thought, this kid bought a piece of junk, but apparently the van got hit. It was parked and it got hit, and then they said whoever hit him repaired the thing. But I don't know. They didn't repair everything, and his axle broke, and that was that. So I had a lovely drive down to Fredericksburg, VA, to Kite Pharmaceuticals. After dropping off the piece, I went to just gas up and go home, and I saw a Waffle House. And there's a thing with the Waffle House and fist fights and people with neck tattoos. So I said, "Oh, let me go into Waffle House." and have some waffles because I haven't had waffles in a while. So, and I was whatever. There's somebody I know on Facebook who's a big Waffle House dude, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to the Waffle House. Let's see if I can get into a fist fight. Which, by the way, did not happen. However, in the bizarro way that life just works, I'm in there, I'm chatting, blah 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 blah. I'm playing the role of international traveler. I'm in the Waffle House, and I'm like, yeah, I was in London last week, and blah 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 blah. So I start knocking English food, and the main waitress, the oldest waitress there, is emigrated from England like 12 years ago, and she. So I almost got into a fist fight with a midgety little English woman who needed dental work. She actually needed dental. And she was like 110 years old, but she was arguing with me that English sausages don't suck. But trust me, they suck. Whatever. But I was like, I'm in the Waffle House at midnight in Fredericksburg, Virginia, thinking, what's the fucking chances? I would think I would be able to go into any Waffle House anywhere in America and say negative things about a foreign country, and I would be applauded. I would be cheered because Waffle House people are like, whatever. They're Waffle House people. But so I had the whatever, the pecan waffles and something else, bacon and eggs and stuff. It was okay. And then I drove home, but I was like, man, what are the chances that that you find the only Waffle House waitress that immigrated from England, right? When your best conversation piece is, oh, I just came back from England and the food sucked. Whatever. This is the bizarre way that my life goes. Turns out the next day, this dude AJ, who's I think they just made him a dispatcher. Nice kid, black kid. He's the big as a house. And they sent him an email praising him for his quick response and blah 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 and ability to solve problems on the fly. He called me up. He was like, "Oh, dude, they mentioned you and me and blah 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 blah." And I don't think he's ever gotten positive uh, feedback from management ever. So he was happy about that, excited about that. The old management's gone. Maybe, who knows, things will get better. So that was last week, which was good. This week, I experienced the downside of diversity across the way here. My neighbors are African, and they have occasionally clogged. They keep clogging up the fucking kitchen drain pipes. And so I had this fucking Mexican handyman pounded on my fucking door 8 o'clock this morning, trying to unclog it, but they didn't have the stake and blah 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 blah. They got to come back tomorrow. So the joys of diversity and me like washing my dishes in the bathtub. I've gone from the highest high from being in the British Museum and the National Gallery to the low of fucking of doing of washing dishes in the bathtub. And so this is how life goes. You got to roll with it. People have had it obviously way worse than me, but I am not, and despite what some people might believe, I am not on the fast track to elite status. You know what I mean? Until I can live in a place where stuff like that doesn't happen. And I want to live in a place like that, and I work towards that. But you think like, James, like, what's with you in this? Like, why have you given up on the Federal Reserve System? Well, that's why. I'm 58. I work fucking 6 days a week, and I got to put up with these fucking Stone Age people who keep throwing fucking animal fats down the fucking pipes and clogging them up, even though they've done it twice, 3 times before, and they don't fucking learn their lesson. Whatever. The downside of diversity. Last week, there was a comment. Someone left a comment. Trad Dad left a comment. He said, "Hey, what's up with the what did he say? Has crypto been co-opted by the government?" Well, yes, it actually has. Crypto has. Bitcoin hasn't. Crypto has. I have a video 57 second video, bringing you guys up to speed on just how crypto has been co-opted by the government.
Bitcoin cannot scale on the base layer. It has to be second layer or third layer solution. The thing about altcoins is they say it's more efficient, but they're trading off something. What they're trading off is decentralization. Did you guys know that the vast majority of Ethereum nodes are Amazon Web Servers? So if you actually want to see who runs Ethereum, it's Jeff Bezos. There's a reason that the Bitcoin blocks are the size they are. And the reason for that is decentralization above all. If something is not decentralized, it will inevitably be co-opted by a government or a powerful institution. And the only cryptocurrency that is truly backed by the most powerful decentralized computing network in the world is Bitcoin. Altcoins are not the solution. The solution is second layer. There's a lot of things that we need to do in order for the experience to be as good or nearly as good as something like Apple Pay here in the US.
Okay, so that's that. All of these shitcoins run on the Ethereum network. The Ethereum network is run by Jeff Bezos of Amazon fame. So he's all about government contracts. He is the insider of insiders. I think he was an old. He used to be a Wall Street guy, right? He was a Wall Street guy with a degree from Princeton in electrical engineering, but he went into Wall Street. And I think he was like the youngest vice president ever at Salomon Brothers or something like that. And then from there, things just, lucky turn after lucky turn for little Jeffy Bezos. I don't think he's ever done his own dishes. I'm sure as fuck certain that he's never done dishes in the bathtub. By the way, in the comments, Virgil Doc Purple Heart, welcome to the show, sir. So not only does Jeff Bezos only is he the king of shitcoin. I saw this. This is the kind of thing that reminds me when I think of my neighbors. I'm sure that they're paying like fucking subsidized rent or getting free food or whatever, while I fucking have to slave away like a fucking animal. But I saw this on, I don't know, Instagram or something like that. EBT cardholders pay $0 for 30 days and then get 50% off of Amazon Prime. So me and you, we pay full price. You were right. We subsidized everything, their groceries, their food, everything. How long can this last? I don't know. I don't really know how long it can last. But the answer is what they're doing is causing some problems, right? Is that CNBC news item? Prices rose more than expected in January as inflation just won't go away. I don't know. What should we do? Print our way out of it? Should we print more money? Is that what we ought to do? You can't make this shit up. Like, you cannot make this shit up. They keep printing money. Why is everything getting more expensive? I don't understand. And for guys like Jeff Bezos, not only does he run shitcoins, but I got a 54-second video of an explanation of how guys like Bezos, all of these elites, are as parasitical can be, and they take advantage of those who can, least afford to be taken advantage of. Check this out.
I don't care what side you're on, but there is something inherently evil about a state giving a multi-trillion-dollar company 100% tax cut. I saw someone else talk about this, but I couldn't stitch their content, so I'm just going to reiterate and add my own. Someone was talking about how Mississippi is giving Amazon a 100% tax cut. 100%! And $44 million to keep their businesses running. Meanwhile, Mississippi has the highest poverty rate in all of America. We all remember the game Monopoly and how you win in that game. You win by owning everything. and literally removing the ability for someone else to participate in the game. And the game ends because everyone loses. You no longer get to take money from them, and they don't have anything left to give.
So there's a kid who's figured it out, right? Jeff Bezos goes to the poorest state in the country and absolutely gets whatever he wants, takes advantage of everything. This is the difference between what Jeff Bezos does in Mississippi and what some other companies do. These European companies that pull resources out of Africa is that Jeff Bezos is doing it here, not in Africa. It's exactly the same thing. You go in, you co-opt the government, you pay off a few people, and you get to increase your wealth by screwing over the locals. You know what I mean? And all of this depends on fiat currency. The fifth plank of the Communist Manifesto is central banks and fiat currency are necessary for the implementation of communism. And our friends, they're not really our friends, way across the other side of the planet where I'm not going, but in Kiwi land, the New Zealand Federal Reserve or the New Zealand Central Bank, I got this great 13-second clip that is, I will put this in front of you. Hopefully you can perceive it directly, that you won't, your brain won't bounce off it. But this is about as clear as it can possibly be made.
We actually fund ourselves and then work out what dividend is needed to pay. So we kind of it's a great business to be in, central banking. You print money and people believe it, and
we print money and people believe it, and everybody laughs, right? That's a nervous laughter, right? Why do you believe it? Well, because you really don't have any choice. But choice is coming. It's being built. Not as fast as some of us would like, but at the end of the day, this conversation more and more and more is going to happen more and more and more. Here's a guy. This is a dude that's on Joe Rogan. I don't know who he is, but he looks like a college professor. Sounds smarter than me. And he says the exact stuff I say. It makes me crazy that I go on a rant, and then like 3 days later, I see somebody in social media saying the exact same thing, albeit more sophisticated, in a more sophisticated manner than I do. But I look at this guy and I'm like, was the algorithm just making these videos up, like based on, is Google listening to me right now? I don't even know. But this is some dude on Joe Rogan that Rogan has, some super smart dude to explain the economy.
We in the public are under the misapprehension that the game is about money. And the reason that we're under that misapprehension is that traditionally money has been a pretty good proxy for power. And what's happened is the game is still very much about power and control, but money doesn't mean what we thought it did.
In what way?
Well, I think we're being set up that, your ability to store wealth in money is dependent on rational policy, right? If somebody is going to print money in order to get themselves out of a crisis, then they're robbing you without ever gaining access to your bank account. So the value of what you've stored is under somebody else's control.
The value of what you've stored, the value of your life's work under somebody else's control, and they steal it from you. Why would you want to live that way? Why would you want to live that way, your children to live that way, your grandchildren to live that way? Why would you think that's a good thing? The only reason why is because you're comfortable with it, because it's all you've ever known. And, an alternative system is scary and not clear, and you don't know what that's going to be like. So you'd rather stay where you are, getting robbed by central bankers who are laughing about the fact that they print money out of thin air, pay themselves first, then decide how much interest you're going to pay them for using their imaginary money, and they laugh about it. So that's, you know, that's that's where we are, and if you if you're not actively subverting the system, then what are you doing? Like really, honest to God, what are you doing if you're not actively trying to to just unplug this thing forever? Because there will come a time, in the same way that, listen, we don't use horse-drawn wagons anymore. The number of places on the planet Earth where you see like a horse or a donkey pulling a fucking cart is like, almost zero. You'll almost see that nowhere. You have to go like to the third world of the third world to see that, because people just don't do it anymore, because cars are so cheap. You can find cars anywhere on the planet that will get you from point A to point B. We don't use horse-drawn carriages anymore anywhere on the earth in any significant way. I mean, symbolic, stupid stuff for, parades and stuff like that, but it's not. There's no practical everyday use. And the reason why is because it's been replaced by something better. And there will come a day where the green pieces of paper, or the whatever different colored pieces of paper, Canada has, 95 different colors. England has yellow strips. The euro is like, 10 different colors. There will come a day where people will look back and go, do you know people used to trade pieces of paper back and forth as money? And they'll laugh about it. Like, you won't believe it. It'll be as odd to think about that as to think about, well, I've got to hitch up my donkey to the cart and then put stuff in the back of the cart and go to the other side of the village. Like, nobody does that anymore, and no one's ever going to do that. And there will come a time where fiat currency doesn't exist and central banking doesn't exist. And they know it. Guys like Gary Gensler, they know it. I remember a couple of weeks ago, a couple of months ago, I showed a video of like there was a group of Bitcoiners in Mexico, and they had a little projector, and they projected on the wall of the Mexican central bank the Bitcoin logo in the middle of the night somewhere. And there's like 10 of them kind of half-heartedly going, Bitcoin, Bitcoin. Well, we've come a little further from there. That was when Bitcoin was whatever, like 20 grand. Now we're hovering in the 50s, the low 50s. And in Miami, they do things in a slightly more dramatic fashion than just projecting the Bitcoin logo onto a building in the middle of the night. This is what they do in Miami. It gets slicker and more impressive every time they do it, right? It's a greater and greater flex. You may not think that a synchronized drone light show, or 30-second synchronized or 1 minute drone show is impressive, but it's a big step up from where we were 6 months ago. And then 6 months from now, we will be further down the line. We're building the thing that's going to replace central banking. We're building the thing that's going to replace the little pieces of paper in your wallet. And we're the only one that's doing it. And whatever you think the future is going to be, whatever future you think you want for yourself, I promise you, you don't want one where they just print endless amounts of fucking money. You don't want that at all. It's just, there's so many things. I don't mean to farm outrage, but I remember these red ice. You guys might be familiar with the red ice. The couple that do, they were in Charlottesville. I saw them down there. They do a lot of social media stuff. They do a lot of criticism of elite power. But this one, I cut out of a much longer video, and you got to love it. We're being we're being robbed in every way possible, and these people are they're building their cover identities using our tax dollars.
And now, onto the important stuff, like free nose jobs by Jewish doctors to, by the way, Jewish patients. Who could have guessed? Rhinoplasty is basically being doled out here. I'm sure someone down the line is paying something. He got probably some State Department grant. But anyway, let's hear him out, okay? Because it turns out the New York Jewish Weekly, which is partially published by the Jewish Telegraph Agency, had a whole expose here on the guy. A praising article. Why this Upper East Side doctor is offering free plastic surgery to victims of anti-Semitism. Now let's take a look at a couple of these cases here, and I highlighted a couple of pieces from the article. Most recently, on January 17th, Savetsky, which is the doctor's last name here, performed a rhinoplasty on Rebecca, a 30-year-old Israeli-American woman. And apparently the reason for this was just because there was no anti-Semitism about this, by the way. Another one, a 23-year-old soldier who is now a first year at an American university and asked to remain anonymous for safety reasons, said he never properly got his nose fixed. Another woman, 28-year-old Long Island native, is a survivor of the Nova Music Festival massacre on October 7th. Ooh, this is not good, right? Sandaiji, which is her name, fortunately wasn't physically injured. Okay, so nothing happened. So she wasn't physically injured by Hamas attacks, though Savetsky gave her Botox and filler just to lift up her spirits. Well, that's nice. And there's one part of the article here where it's like, it kind of gets a little too close. Like, what is this? Just some Jewish, thing just for Jews, so if somebody, then they have to kind of, ease those concerns. So he said, if somebody Muslim is a victim of a hate crime and they...
So, yeah, there you go. They're free nose jobs at the expense of the U.S. taxpayer, in all likelihood, like he says. If you're a victim of anti-Semitism, I guess being caught in the terror attack of October 7th, the best way to overcome the trauma of being at a music festival and the next thing you know, machine gun fire, I guess, plastic surgery is the way to go. I don't know why they didn't come up with that when the people in Las Vegas, when the Las Vegas shooting happened for those country music people. But I guess country music people are not as needy when it comes to rhinoplasty and Botox injections. It's you can't parody this stuff. Like you can't. I've said it before. It's so tough to make things funny. You just have to present things as they are and just let it go. You just have to let it go. If I told you, whatever that illegal immigrants would buy stolen cars with welfare money and race around the streets of New York City, if I told you that, whatever, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, you would think I was nuts. But here's a dude who explains exactly how all this stuff works. This is the city of my birth. The greatest city in the world, if you listen to the propaganda department.
Yo, you guys asked some good questions about this video. Like, how are migrants able to afford vehicles? How are migrants able to purchase vehicles without license, registration, and insurance? Here's how. You got guys who park cars on the street and sell them. They're called flippers. Usually these cars are beyond their mechanical limits. They got issues with them. Something is wrong. The title is usually in someone else's name, so that the car cannot be traced back to them in any legalities or any lawsuits. So these guys most likely saw a cheap price and they purchased the vehicle, and now they out here suffering. So how are they getting the money? Well, the migrants get from $2,200 all the way to $3,000, $3,500, depending on what benefits they can extract out of programs from the city, from the taxpayers. And that's how it's done. So these guys are on the street driving without license, registrations, or insurance, and just bound to get in an accident.
So 2,200, 2,500, $3,000 a month for illegal immigrants to do with whatever they want. And you know what? They want to get in a car and drive around and go drink beer and smash up the car. And you got Jeff Bezos, like the king of the shit coins, exploiting the people of Mississippi. You got this New York handing out free fucking money to illegals. And this is they're just going to keep doing this, keep doing this. In Baltimore, I don't know what the MHOS is, whatever, the Maryland Office of something. It's just going to buy 2 hotels and let the homeless people just stay in the hotel. I'm just going to let them stay there, and do whatever they want. Basically, they can come and go as they please, I guess, like in the hotel. You know what I mean? When I go to a hotel, I have to pay for it, but I also have to pay for, or at least the Maryland residents have to pay for 2 hotels worth of homeless people. And what could possibly go wrong? I ask you, ladies and gentlemen, what could possibly go wrong? There's no brakes on this train. We're hurtling towards I don't know, Weimar or the Hungarian Pengo or the Zimbabwe $1 trillion bill. We're hurtling towards that, and this isn't going to slow down, and it isn't going to stop. So you have to decide what you're going to do about it. Maybe you'll just buckle up and enjoy the ride. The rest of us, we'd kind of like to throw that switch and make the train go on a different track. I mentioned this guy last week, everyone's favorite, Sam Altman, the gay guy behind AI, getting a fair amount of pushback, and I'm not 100% sure why it is, but this is a guy who builds chips. If you look at him, I didn't get the good picture, but he seems quite the Chad. He seems like a weightlifter, bro. But apparently he's a computer chip architect named Jim Keller. And he responds to Sam Altman's plan to raise $7 trillion to make AI chips. I can do it for less than $1. And underneath that, I wrote, he was actually wearing a T-shirt. I wish I could have got the full photo. That said, why not 8? Why not 8 billion? So Sam Altman getting some pushback from a number of different areas, asking for $7 trillion. You would think, that's not chutzpah, but apparently some people feel that asking for $7 trillion to overhaul the computer chip business is asking a lot. Me, I don't ask that much. All I ask is that you smash up the like button. That's it. It's simple enough. It's not $7 trillion. It's just smashing up the like button. So make sure to do that, especially the stream snipers. Well, I'm watching my counter go jump up, down. So I guess the cripple and the homo Nazis and whatever fuck it is, the feds are looking to me and wondering how does he keep coming up with new content? Because there's tons of stuff out there. There's an endless amount of stuff out there. And for people like me and for the people who can hear what I have to say, you're in a really small club, and it's just impossible to explain to people like that it's what we're doing. Everyone's going to keep doing what they're doing, even though they're guaranteed to lose. I remember this. I think I actually lost $40 doing this when I was like 19 years old. How many guys, if you don't live in a big city, New York, Philly, Chicago, you never saw it, but there used to be a street hustle. Called 3-Card Monte, which involves playing cards. And this is how it worked. Right? There are tutorials. There are street hustle tutorials on YouTube. It's what a world we live in.
This is how to do the 3-card Monte. If you've never seen 3-card Monte before, all you have to do is follow the queen. This is a game that's usually played for money, but you'll never win. You'll probably guess it's over here, but it's not. It's not here either. It's actually over here. There's actually 2 secrets to this trick. First is that there's conditioning. They show you the queen and they toss it on the table a couple of times, and they're getting you used to seeing that motion of them just picking up and tossing it down. But on the final toss, they actually toss the top card instead of the bottom card, so it looks like this. Now you think that's the queen, but that's actually the joker because the queen's still here. I'll show you again a little bit slower. They pick it up, they show it, and then they're going to toss this one over the top, keeping the queen here. So in regular motion, it looks like this. You think that's the queen's here, and now they just mix them up.
So that was a game that used to involve 3 guys. There was the dealer, there was one player who was of course in on it, and then there was one sort of audience dude. Somebody in the sidewalk like, hey, check this guy out. He's winning money. And that, of course, back in the day, listen, people would stop and look, and they get closer and closer and closer. Some people would be a little leery, but they want to see this guy make money in the street. And one guy would win, and then somebody go, hey, get out of the way, I want to go. But the guy who was winning was one of the 3 dudes involved in the game. And then of course everyone else would lose. And if they saw the police, usually they would play this on. They would have these stacked cardboard boxes. If the two of the other guys, either the winning player or the first sort of eyewitness to the first member of the crowd, they would be scanning for cops. And if they saw cops, they would give this guy a signal, and he would just push the cards and the cardboard boxes over in the middle of the sidewalk, and they'd all 3 walk in different directions. And that's that, so they wouldn't get pinched by the police. But that was the old school way of hustling a couple of $100. I don't know how much you could make in a day doing that, but usually the bets were like $20 each at the time, which was a lot of money. Well, at least it was a lot of money in the 80s. But now those same hustlers have gone 21st century. The tokenization of scams is here, and these people are going to. This is like, when you see this, you're going to see it's like so comic book stupid. Like, who would believe this? Desperate people who don't see a way out would definitely buy into this. This is a little bit of a longer video. It's not 1 minute 26, but take a look at the people in this video and listen to this fucking really amateurish pitch.
This particular building is made for Airbnb only.
And this is tokenized, so people can buy pieces of this. However much they spend, they'll get that ROI on rent, Airbnb fees, all of that, right?
That's right. So that way you can diversify yourself and not have to just invest in a whole building.
That gives the flexibility to people who only have like $5,000 to invest in real estate.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
This is a beautiful concept, bro.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah.
It's dope.
It's pretty sick. These are zoned for short-term rentals, and that's exactly what we wanted, because these are going to be, in my opinion, like the gold rush of real estate.
So now people who's getting into the program, buying the tokenized real estate through you, they're going to be able to be a part of that, the
Correct.
Airbnb wave, that gold rush.
You're going to buy stable coins, and then with those stable coins, which are dollar-backed cryptocurrencies, you'll be able to come and just buy a fraction of this. So if you got $100 only, every quarter, you're going to receive your dividend, your payout for this. You can sell your cryptocurrency tied to the real estate like that. No middleman. Just the smart contracts, the technology, and you.
This right here seems so simple. It's like a no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer. We're going to transfer the value from the haves to the have-nots. You know, with tokenized real estate, every building that you see around us, you're going to be able to buy a fraction of that. Now, that infrastructure is being built right now on the blockchain, but it's coming, and we're doing it.
So that's the scam. Take poor people, promise that we're going to take the money from the rich and bring it to you. You take your paycheck from 7-Eleven or the Sunoco gas station or whatever, Waffle House or wherever, right? And then you're going to take your little paycheck and you're going to buy US dollar stable coins, crypto, and then you're going to buy this tokenized real estate. Oh, I own part of that building in downtown Miami. and you have no idea what the fuck you're doing. You're going to be on the hook for all sorts of fucking liabilities. You're never going to make money. You're going to get rugged. You think, well, I'll sell it at a loss and I'll be out of it, but there'll be liens against the property, and you once owned part of the property, so now you'll probably have to pay some of the fucking liens as well. They got that roided up the black dude. You know what I mean? Thinking, he says, well, $5,000 to him, that's a lot of money. There's some chink broad taking selfies with a fucking construction hat on. Like, these type of, that's probably a relatively amateurish outfit, but this is what the future is going to look like, and people are going to get rugged, and worse than just lose all your money. If they buy tokenized real estate, they're going to buy the liabilities that go along with that property. So if somebody's suing, the contractors or the fucking building owners or whatever, the construction company, and the construction company sells you the token, but they're also selling you the responsibility to pay that fucking lien or whatever judgments are against that fucking property. And that's how people are going to get fucked forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever. And there's, the predatory nature of these fucking people is just, it's a completely shameless. And there's, as evangelical as myself and others have been, there's very few people that we can convince, because the rest of the country, it doesn't matter. You think, who's going to buy, most of America is not interested in Miami real estate. Most of America is interested in something else. Well, here's what's going to happen to most of America.
These investors are now starting to buy up mobile homes like the one behind me. They purchased it for 50 grand a couple months ago, and now they're trying to flip it for 80 grand. This is what these Wall Street investors are now moving on to, that they can't make as much money for single family homes. They're targeting the mobile homes. And you can see, if we look at the pictures of this mobile home on the inside, it is very, very dated. It hasn't been updated since it was built. And in fact, there's actually duct tape near the window. I'm wondering why this investor thinks they can increase the price by 60% in just a couple months. This is a concerning trend that I'm seeing in other parts of America. These investors buying up mobile homes as well as mobile home parks, often jacking up the rent and jacking up the prices.
So you're living in a mobile home, and they're gonna, you can't even get a fucking mobile home, right? To live in a mobile home is considered, the bottom of the economic ladder, and that's who Wall Street's going after now. They're going to double the price of a 25-year-old or fucking 30-year-old fucking trailer. You know what I mean? There will be consequences for this, all sorts of consequences for this, when the government has to keep handing out money, because these people will, I don't know, they're just going to go to Walmart and take whatever they want because they won't have any money for food. All of this stuff is going to go south. And all of these people that are doing this, they're gonna skip away, and they don't want change. And change is coming without a doubt. Not as fast as we'd like, but it's coming. And even what's his name? I got a video of Gary Gensler. Right, he's the head of the Securities and Exchange Commission. He okayed the Bitcoin ETFs, but he's been holding them back. They've been held back for like 10 years. And fun fact about Gary Gensler, he was a professor at MIT, and he had taught a class on Bitcoin, believe it or not. And MIT was Sam Bankman-Fried's alma mater, and MIT also was running Project Hamilton, the digital dollar project. And here's Gary Gensler talking to the dudes at CNBC, which is a stock market show. But Gary, surprisingly, a member of the tribe. Everyone else he's talking to, not a member of the tribe. Check out this interaction.
Is that the problem, though? It's not necessarily Bitcoin, the underlying asset, but more the froth and the potential for fraudsters to use it?
Well, this is a field, Becky, that's rife with fraud. Jamie Dimon say that, used by drug dealers and used by folks who are doing all sorts of illicit and terrible things.
This is how much has been money laundered with Bitcoin. This is how much. This is Bitcoin. This is dollars.
What is your opinion?
It's the leading market share in ransomware. Joe, if I can say, the US dollar, you have the whole society using it, and you have a central bank, one currency generally per economic region. That we don't have here.
Since it's decentralized, and then you can't have a profligate central bank.
Finance tends towards centralization since antiquity. Now, how many times do you have people that say, I want to invest in something because how the books and records are kept?
It can't be double counted. The Bitcoin bulls say they trusted a lot more than the central bank that enables the fiscal authorities to spend money to the tune of $33 trillion.
I don't know if you caught it there, but Gary Getz was like, finances tended towards centralization since antiquity. Excuse me, Mr. Gensler? Excuse me, sir? That sounds like an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory. That sounds like something some crazy dude in a one-bedroom apartment in New Jersey would say. I cannot believe that a former professor of MIT, a former officer at Goldman Sachs, and the current chair of the Securities and Exchange Commission is saying the same exact things, remarkably similar things, to what that crazy 58-year-old dude in a one-bedroom apartment in New Jersey is saying. That's just, who could imagine that this ever could have occurred? You see how he fights with everybody? They're all like, hey, what about this different thing? And he's like, no, since antiquity, there's been centralization. You know what I mean? And that's the way it's going to stay for at least the near-term future. But it won't stay that way. It will not stay that way forever. And then it will come a day when this will happen. The title of tonight's show, by the way, Raised by Sharks, which is it's this thing in this video, which I've had for a while on my phone. This dude is kind of crazy looking. He's around my age. I kind of, so that appeals to me. But guy makes some good points, and I want to let him talk. It's only 29 seconds. I'll let him talk, and then I got some thoughts on it on the other end.
Violence is confidence. Violence is not attack. Violence is not mayhem. It can be, of course. But for us, and the language that we use it with most, it's confidence. It's certainty in what you're saying. If you're telling someone to stop doing what they're doing, and you are not capable of violence, it's a suggestion.
And that's where you're at. That's everybody who wants to fix things, that wants to change things. You can, what, and this guy's talking about violence. He's talking about like in the context of like sports, like wrestling or something like that, or boxing or something. And people think of violence in these small ways, but I'm talking about like invasion of Iraq level violence. If you're not capable of that, if you don't command that, then all you have are suggestions to the people who can do shock and awe in Iraq or whatever, spend however many trillions we spent in Afghanistan. Those are the people that have all the confidence. Those are the people who are going to do whatever they want to do. And direct confrontation with them is suicidal. And what I recommend instead is that you do what I do and what other people do, which is 100% legal, but it is also 100% subversive. And that is stop using their money. I don't know how many more ways, how many more clips, I can get to where they're saying, hey, dude, we just make this shit up. We make this shit up and you believe it. Ha, ha, ha. Why you would want to live that way, why you would want to be humiliated like that, why you would allow yourself to be abused like that is not clear to me, especially when there is a clear legal, easy way to change that for yourself. And the more people, that make that exit, the more people that walk away, the more people that will walk. And that's what I think you want to be doing. That's what I think you ought to be doing. In the meantime, what's going on? What else is going on? In the meantime, our friends, there was a beef about this, about, how successful is the Bitcoin ETF? Well, in the first month, it made whatever, 10 billion, and then it made another 10 billion in the next 4 days or something like that. A lot of money pouring into this. A lot of people with real money, looking to get into this because it is new and it's novel and whatever. I got Michael Saylor. I have St. Michael explaining this, but things are going our way, Bitcoiners' way, and we're going to continue. It's more than just a drone show. It's more than an ETF, although don't buy the ETF, buy actual Bitcoin. You're going to need to confront this reality sooner rather than later. And why not do it, gradually? Do it step by step. You don't have to argue with Gary Gensler, and you don't have to, every time you see the migrants getting free money to drive around the city in stolen cars, or fucking Jeff Bezos, the state of Mississippi bending over and dropping his fucking pants for Jeff Bezos. You need something to counteract that. You need to reassure yourself that the future is going to be brighter. And waiting for a Hitler or whatever, Mussolini, or who's the guy that threw the helicopter? The guy from Chile, the dictator from Chile. What was his name? Colonel something or other. I can't remember what his name was. Nobody's coming to save you. You got to save yourself. Save yourself. Change what you're doing, and you'll be a happier person. But in the meantime, listen to meditate, if you will, on the words of Saint Michael. Oh, Saint Michael Saylor.
A lot of this is just indicative of the popularity of Bitcoin as an asset class. It's now the world's most popular investment asset. It's novel, it's digital, it's global, it's unique, and it's uncorrelated to traditional risk assets because it doesn't come with exposure to any given country, currency, company, quarterly result, product cycle, competitor, not to weather, not to war, not to an employee base or supply chain. And so that makes it a natural addition to the portfolio of a responsible investor. There's 10 years of pent-up demand. People have been waiting for these ETFs. And finally, mainstream investors are able to access Bitcoin. And I think that's what's driving the surge of capital in the asset class. And the asset's found its footing. And now people are beginning to realize that there's 10 times as much demand for Bitcoin coming in through these ETFs as there is supply coming from the natural sellers, who are the miners.
So that's Michael Saylor. He views everything via, an investor's lens, right? He has a lot of money. He doesn't want to lose the money. He's an investor, blah, 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 blah. I view it differently. Michael Saylor never lived in a place where the people across the hallway clogged up his fucking sink, and he never got woke up and after driving back from fucking Virginia, got woken up in 5 hours to fucking let the handyman come in and waste your time for 45 minutes. Like, he doesn't know what that life is like. So he's an Olympian, he's a billionaire, he's whatever. He's at the top of Mount Olympus, and he sees what he sees. He doesn't see life at the everyday level. And to be fair, he can't, right? But you should listen to what he has to say, because he is a very smart guy. And from his position, he can see the value of this thing in a way that somebody who's desperately trying to buy $100 worth of tokenized real estate, they don't understand it. They don't understand what he's saying or why he's saying it, or what they wouldn't understand what I would say, or what I'm saying, or why I would say it. And to move outside your comfort zone that's the only thing you can do, because staying with these guys, you're guaranteed to lose, right? You're guaranteed to lose. And waiting for a savior, waiting for some outrage to change everything, bullshitting yourself, saying, well, I'm busy red pilling. So nobody gives a fuck about red pilling. Nobody gives a fuck about any of this shit. People want a place to live. They want to be able to afford their life. They want to be able to, buy their kids stuff and have security in it. They don't want to be fucking dehumanized and humiliated and fucking robbed. That's what people want, and that's not what they're going to get. They're not getting it now. And until we get through this fiat fucking currency thing, they're not going to get it. And I hate to say it, but there's going to be a lot of ugliness between here and the bright orange future. But there will be a bright orange future. It will not be another 100 years of paper slips or credit cards or fucking central banking. The clock is ticking for these guys. And as Bitcoin grows up and gets stronger, you should grow with it and get stronger with it. Certainly, that's the way it's worked for me, and I'm a nobody. And if you don't do that, I hope you have a better idea. But I'm pretty sure you don't have a better idea. So that is pretty much. I think that's everything I have for this week. We're coming up on an hour. I have no alcohol tonight because tomorrow morning, very early, the Mexicans will come banging on the door and make a fucking mess of my kitchen. I already took everything out underneath the sink so they can snake out the fucking sink. But whatever, that's the way my day is gonna start tomorrow. And then fingers crossed it gets better from there. But yeah, I do what I do because I don't want to live this way for the rest of my life. I want something better for myself, and I'm not willing to let myself be robbed anymore. If you still are willing to let yourself be robbed and abused, well, okay, but I would grow a set. You know what I mean? Last video, I'll give you one last video. This is that self-help dude, but some good advice. I want to leave people in a positive frame of mind, and with good advice. Here's 46 seconds.
If kicking my own ass was going to work, it would have worked already. The first time I uttered that sentence to myself, I was laying in my mother's basement. I was 38 years old. I had negative $30,000 in the bank. I had burned up every meaningful friendship and active addiction, and I was alone. But as I lay there 30 days sober, tears streaming down my cheeks, I had to make a decision. Was I going to spend the rest of my days torturing myself for who I used to be? Or would I allow myself to be imperfect and learn? Could I learn to give myself grace for not knowing what I didn't know? Could I laugh at my own ignorance, knowing that it's part of the process? And all at once it occurred to me that the person that I was in that moment was the best I had ever been. And that version of me was becoming ever more capable of making the decision of who I wanted to be. Hope this helps.
So listen, laugh at your mistakes. Understand you didn't know what you didn't know, but you know it now, and you can make the appropriate changes to improve your life. Hopefully, you're not like that guy. You're not like an alcoholic living in his mom's basement, $30,000 in debt. Hopefully, that's not you, but it might be you. And if it is you, understand that. Listen, even in that situation, you can turn it around. Even in that situation, you can turn it around. And with that, I will turn around and whatever, get some fucking sleep early because tomorrow's going to start out less than ideal, but fingers crossed it'll go from there. Anyway, to Virgil Dog Purple Heart, to Judas Fly Chai, based Persian Muslim guy, Trad Dad for last week's comment, and everybody else who's lurking in the background and who's going to watch in the coming week. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll talk to you guys next week.